Hello, my name is Russell Myers, independent for U.S. President for 2024. I am very much in favor of increasing the minimum wage. Now, that said, increasing the minimum wage is a red herring. If we keep having that fight, we will never stop having that fight, and the poor will always be behind the curve. Before I explain that statement further, I have to make the observation that many people object to increasing the minimum wage. They have been sold on the idea that doing so would lead to inflation. Yet we've been experiencing inflation while wages have been frozen for many years. For many Americans, wages have not only stagnated, but declined, while prices keep rising, leaving them even further behind. The few who have seen wage gains have seen their gains eaten up by inflation that exceeds any gain, or loss of benefits that once were provided by your employer, and today you have to pay for out of your wages. Who are the ones pushing the idea that higher wages lead to inflation? That would be the ones who have to pay wages. Meanwhile, those same people have been realizing record profits and income growth, not only in absolute dollars, but in percentage of revenue, national revenue. Yes, that would be the billionaires who own multiple yachts and take joyrides into space. I understand those who have some minor level of security, or think they have, and are afraid of losing that. The problem with that is that either those people have never known actual poverty, or they have become so fearful that they have become the very people who placed them in poverty in the first place. It is nothing short of sadistic to believe that other human beings should suffer so you can be secure. What would it take to increase wages in real terms? The problem lies not in wages, but in purchasing power. The dollar has declined in value by 95 to 97% in the last century. A century ago, you could buy a loaf of bread for 5 cents. When I was a kid, you could buy a loaf of bread for 25 cents. May not be the, best bread on earth, but you could feed your family that way. Who determines purchasing power? That would be the same people who convince you that paying a living wage would cause inflation, while they take joyrides into space. How do we increase purchasing power? A major first step would be what I outlined in my tax reform plan. The ultimate fact is that the wealthy never have enough wealth. Mega yacht, not enough. Mega yacht with support yachts, not enough. 3 mega yachts, not enough. Private island, not enough. The only way we will ever see an increase in purchasing power is by placing hard limits on wealth accumulation. None of that means that nobody would be allowed to be wealthy. It means removing the possibility of a privileged few to continue hoarding wealth at obscene levels at the expense of millions of human beings deprived of basic needs like sleep, food, medical care, shelter, time with family, social support programs, etc. My tax reform plan goes a long way toward the goal of increasing purchasing power. By removing the possibility of any person or small group of people to profit excessively by increasing profits, it virtually eliminates the motivation to increase prices. On my other channel, Issues Unite, I explain that supply shortages do not lead to inflation. The law of supply and demand is a myth propagated by the privileged few who own all access to commodities. Over 90% of inflation is caused by one thing: capitalist greed. A shortage of a given commodity means exactly that, a shortage. It means less to go around. It does not and should not mean that those who already have no fear of doing without are the only ones with access to what is lacking. It should mean that once the supply is exhausted, it is exhausted for everyone, equally and concurrently. Does increasing taxes in such a way as I have detailed mean we would not experience inflation? No, but it definitely goes a long way toward that end. Another problem which has led to the stagnation or decline of incomes has to do with monopolization. As more and more domestic trade and employment relies on a shrinking number of employers, that means less and less competition. What competition may exist places smaller employers at a disadvantage. Higher wages certainly do affect smaller businesses more than large corporations. Monopolization also leads to fewer and fewer choices being available for consumers. Manufacturers and agricultural producers are forced to make certain products in certain ways or grow specific crops if they want their products sold by national retailers. It's cloning on the industrial stage. Then those producers are forced to accept low prices for their products, limiting their ability to pay a living wage. Small farms must compete with corporate farms or wind up selling their land to corporate farms or go out of business. I'll make a separate video on monopolization, but the point regarding wages is that lack of competition drives wages down. This impacts consumer spending, which allegedly vindicates large corporations to keep wages down. One step I would take is ordering the Department of Justice to strengthen their enforcement of laws regarding monopolization and competition. Find ways to break up the largest corporations that stifle competition and innovation. This has been done in the past by the DOJ, like the breakup of the Bells and the browser wars. Right now, we face far worse consequences from the monopolization of companies like Walmart and Amazon, yet nothing is being done to stop it. It is time that someone step up and take action, and I would do so. The final thing I will mention is unions. I have strong feelings in support of unions. However, I feel that individual unions are too easily divided and controlled by corporations and industries. Historically, unions were responsible for the realization of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, workers' compensation, workers' safety, and the 40-hour work week. However, modern unions fail to address the concerns of those outside of their particular unions. The young, elderly, and disabled are not represented by unions anymore. What I would work to implement is a non-governmental national union to which every American can be a member, even if they are unemployed, disabled, retired, etc. What would be best would be if the existing unions coalesced into a national union. They could keep their individual identity, but combine resources to represent their members. This could have federal funding, but beyond that, very little government involvement. To put it simply, my feeling is that all Americans, in theory, already belong to a union. When the president makes his annual address, the name of that speech is the State of the Union. We need to make this a reality. As you can see, some of my policy proposals overlap in their rationale. Yet, if even one of them were enacted, it would mean a measurable improvement in the standard of living for the majority of Americans. They would also stabilize the economy and increase competition tremendously. So, give me your thoughts. Let's discuss this. Because for me, this is what this is about. Let's discuss this. Share this video. Talk about these subjects with other people. And if you can, please donate $1 a month or whatever you can to help expand the campaign. If you can't afford it, I understand. You can tell that I understand. I really can. Again, share this video, talk about these subjects, and please subscribe to the channel. Keep following. Give me whatever support you can. And I appreciate every time somebody shares a video, whatever. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a good day, and I will catch you in the next one.